Okay, I'm going to show you how to use Keyshot. If you just want to try Keyshot out and have fun, we're just going to cover the basics. I'm going to show you how to color R2D2 here in an online store product kind of way with no background and no shadows. So when you open Keyshot, I'm just going to close this. This is the Keyshot interface. You can have a light version or change it to a dark version. If you go to Edit, Preferences, and then change it to light or dark. I like dark, so I'm just going to leave that. There's the main viewer in the center, the library window on the left with all the resources, or the project window on the right with all the controls. In a new file, you want a .step file to import. You can find those online. If you go to websites like GrabCad Community, I'm going to search for R2D2. This one's got a step file, so I'm going to go this one. Looks good. Download files. This is Windows, so I'm just going to click it to open it. Copy. Save it to a folder. Paste. And then go back to Keyshot. File. Import. Find where you saved your file. Open. Good to have center geometry and snap to ground on. Import. Oh, poor R2's on his side. Okay, so if you hold down the left mouse button, you can rotate the view. If you hold down the center roller button, you can move the view around. And if you roll the mouse roller, you can zoom in and out. Okay, let's fix this. You can see the parts of the model listed in the right-hand side in the project window under the Scene tab. You can expand and see everything listed. You can select parts when you're in Scene. You'll see them show up in orange. You can hide parts, delete them, etc. So if I select the top level, it'll select everything. If you go to Position and the Move tool, you can move whatever you've selected in the different dimensions. So I want to turn it. Okay. Click the check mark to finish. Next, in the project window on the right, click the Camera tab. You can save a camera angle to return to. Move to the view you want in the window and click the button that looks like a camera with a plus. You can add multiple saved camera angles, front, top, side, etc. Clicking on a saved camera will snap the view to that angle. If you decide later you want a saved camera a little different, adjust the angle and click the floppy disk save button. Trash button if you want to delete your buttons. Okay, so let's choose some colors and materials. I'm not going to take this too seriously, but feel free to put more effort into this if you want to. Materials are on the left, in the leftmost option of the library window. You just click and drag materials onto the design. There's a search bar if you want. Bam! Go ahead and have fun with this. Materials you use will show up in the project window on the right under Materials. The model is made up of individual parts. The material will change together if the parts are linked together. You can right-click on a part and choose Unlink Material. This will make it an individual, so we can change it to a different color. You can see if it's got a material on it, it makes a copy in the materials list. This can be useful because you can have the same material in two different places, but have different qualities about them, like one could be darker and one could be lighter, for example. I've looked up a blue paint to use here. Just drag the materials on. Dragging material from the library onto two different unlinked parts will give you the option to link them. From your Materials tab, you can choose materials you've already used and drag them onto your model. If you make a mistake, you can go Edit, Undo, and it shows all the steps you've taken, or you can use the shortcut Ctrl-Z. Let's take a moment to save. File. Save as. When you save, it becomes a .bip file, or if you save as a package, it becomes a .ksp. I like my camera position, so discard. I'm going to need some references, so if I go back, I've got their example, or I can look at examples on the internet. There we go. If you hold down Shift and then left click, it copies the material And then if you hold down Shift and right click on another part, it pastes the material onto it. So now I'm going to choose more materials. You can follow along or skip ahead to the next instruction. I chose some white paint for the base and a different blue color to match a little better. Using the reference to check which parts are blue. And here I'm using my Shift left click and then Shift right click to paste the materials onto the other parts. Choosing a material from the metals category, I decided on iron. But like I said, you can choose whatever you want. I choose a gray paint color for this next part, but you could easily make them a matching metal. You'll notice I skipped doing most of the back, but normally I make sure it's all done. I go to the glass and choose a nice dark one. I choose a gray plastic for the vents or whatever they are. I copy it and I use it on the wire base plate. Like I said, I'm not taking this super seriously. I shift click to copy the metal and paste them into the parts on the side. I copy and paste that hexagon color. It turns out the wires are a brown color, so I look up a brown to use. Found a nice metallic one. Okay, let's see. They've got this going on, but I think I'll do it the way they did it. I'm going to need a red plastic next, so I look that up. In Keyshot, you actually can make things look like they're lighting up with an emissive light effect, but I'm just going to leave it as red plastic. Let's say you want to adjust a material, like change the color. Right-click on a material and choose Edit Material. This will bring up choices on the right. You can click the color to change it. You can also mess around with the settings. There's a lot you can do here, but I'm going to skip talking about it for now because this is just a basics tutorial. But if you want to learn more about Keyshot, you should definitely learn more about this later. That's good. Now for some useful tips before we do the background. In the Materials folder, you can create your own folder. I created one called Favorites and renamed copies of materials inside of it. In the Scene tab, if you select multiple objects, hold down Control, and right-click, you can add to group, select where you want it, say New Group, and you can rename it whenever you like. You can select everything in a group at once by clicking it, like that. Sometimes designs come with the parts with strange colors. If you go to your Materials tab, you can right-click on a material, select Parts with Materials, right-click, Visibility, Show Only, and it will show only those parts. You can change a material's color. If you right-click in the Scene tab on a part, you can center and fit part to zoom in on it, and then you can choose Visibility, Show All Parts. That will get you back to normal. A part may have elements you want a different color. If you right-click, choose Split Object Surfaces, you can select the parts that you want to split, or you can control and click to add multiple parts. Say Split Surface, Apply, and then you can change those colors. I'm just going to make this brown a little less bright. Now let's move on to backgrounds. If you go to Image, Resolution Presets, you can choose the dimensions. To remove the background, like say you want a product style shot, go to Environment, change the background to color, make sure it's white. Backplate image is if you want to have a background image. They give you some options in the library over here. You can turn off ground shadows if you desire. You can also change the brightness here if you want. You can add a spotlight by going to Edit, Add Geometry, Plane, not ground plane, plane. A blue plane will appear. You use the Move tool to position and angle it into a good spot, wherever you like. By the way, there's a Scale tool as well. Click and drag on the yellow box to make it bigger or smaller. Let's put it out a bit. If you double click on it, this will open up the material. Change the type to Spotlight. It changes into a cone shape. Let's put that back a little bit more. Make sure the cone is pointing at your model. That seems good. I'm going to go back to the camera, click, adjust it to what I want my final to look like, save. When you're happy with it, go to Render, Render, name it something, choose where you want to save it. Make sure it's a good size, like 1000, 300 dpi is good. Render. There we go. All right, here it is. Our final image. Looks good? So that's it. Let me know down in the comments if you've got any tips for using Keyshot or other videos to check out. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this tutorial and subscribe if you want to see what else we do.